Hello and welcome to this Intella Getting Started video. This video has been developed to help our new customers become more familiar with the basics of Intella. In this video we'll look at the following topics: Intella installation, an overview of the Intella interface, running basic searches and filters, tagging items and exporting items. Before we begin the installation process, we need to first talk about some prerequisites that need to be considered. It is recommended that you read our documentation on selecting a computer to host Intella. This can be accessed from the link shown on the screen. This document talks about the recommended hardware and software for the system to be used for Intella. It is important to note that performance issues can arise from running Intella on a system that is lower than the suggested specifications. To install Intella, you must be logged onto the system with the administrator account or with a user account which has administrator rights. Issues can arise if Intella is installed using an account that has restricted access to the system's resources. This tutorial demonstrates installing Intella as the user who is logged onto the system. When Intella is installed in this way, it must be started with the same user account logged in which was originally used when Intella was installed. For example, if I installed Intella while logged into the system as David, I must be logged into the system as David when I run Intella. If you have not done so already, you'll need to log into the Vound support portal and download the Intella installer file. If you do not have an account for the support portal, you can create an account by clicking on Register. We provide two versions of the installer, a 32-bit and 64-bit. Make sure that you download the correct version for your system. Note that 32-bit systems have a limitation to how much memory can be used. The limit is approximately 4 GB, so you may want to consider using a system with 64-bit hardware and operating system. Note that during installation, your dongle does not need to be plugged into the system. Once you have the installer downloaded, double-click on the installer to launch the installation application. Select Next. Read through the agreement. Path to the destination folder for the installation and click Next. I'm going to put today's date in the folder path so it does not get mixed up with any of my previous installs. Edit the Start menu folder if necessary, then click on Install. Once Intella is installed, you may want to rename the Intella icon so it does not get mixed up with any previous installs. Double-click the icon to start Intella. If you have more than one type of license on your dongle, you will see the License Manager, which allows you to select the license that you wish to use. If you only have one license on your dongle, the Case Manager window will be displayed. The Case Manager lists the cases on your system and allows you to manage these cases. Cases can be opened, edited, deleted, and exported. If you are using a version of Intella Team, you will have an option to share a case. This allows the case to be reviewed by several reviewers simultaneously. In this demonstration, we'll create a new case by clicking on the Add button. Click on the Create a New Case button, then type a case name, description, and select your folder location for the case to be built. Under the Advanced options, you can add an optimization drive. This allows for a storage location or drive where temporary files can be written to while indexing. This drive is separate to the Case and Evidence drive and provides better performance for indexing. This setting is only beneficial if you have a spare drive for optimization. There are memory settings in the advanced options. At this stage, leave these as default. Setting the Intella memory can be complex, as there are other places where other memory settings can be set. We have an article on our forum site in regards to configuring memory settings in Intella. This should be read before memory settings are configured. Once the form is complete, click on OK to create the case. For any new cases, the Add New Source wizard will be shown. Let's close this for now and we'll come back to adding a new data source soon. There are two tasks that we need to look at before we add and index any evidence into Intella. The first task is to do with decryption during indexing. Intella can decrypt encrypted items when indexing, and by default a blank password is used to try and open the encrypted items. You can also add passwords, keys, certificates, etc. to the key store before you add and process source data. Intella will then use the key store items to attempt to decrypt encrypted items. Note that some encrypted items require additional files to be installed before decryption can take place. Unfortunately, US laws stop Valve from including these files in the installation package. However, they are easy to install. Simply close Intella, download the files from the website, unzip the files and copy them into the folder shown on your screen. Note that there are both 32-bit and 64-bit locations for these files. You only need to copy the files to the location for the version that you have installed. Once this has been completed, the files will work for all cases created with this installation of Intella. The second task we need to do before indexing is to set up Intella so that it can process the geolocation information for emails. A geo IP database must be installed to use this feature. Installing the database can be done by clicking on File, Preferences, then the Geolocation tab. If the database is not installed, the status text will be read and there will be a button to download the database. Click on the Download button to download the database. Once done, click on OK. Next, we will add a data source to our case. On the File menu, click on Sources, then click on Add New. This will launch the Add New Data wizard. There are a number of different data source options shown in the wizard. The File or Folder option is probably the most commonly used option. It is for loose files such as word processing documents, PDF files, images, spreadsheets, etc. It is also used for ingesting mail formats such as PST, OST, MSG, EML, etc. You can import relativity, concordance and CSV formatted load files with the load file option. We support Hotmail search warrant results. We support forensic disk images such as EO1, EO1X, LO1, LO1X, AD1 and DD. We also support VMDK and VHD virtual machine images. Intella supports Microsoft Exchange EDB files and allows the user to select which mailboxes within the EDB file to be indexed. You can connect directly to an IMAP account such as a Hotmail account. Intella can connect to a number of online storage locations to download and index the data stored in these locations. In this video, we'll select the disk image option to add a forensic disk image. Click on the Add button and path to the forensic image. Once selected, other parts of the forensic image can be added by clicking on the Find Parts button. Click Next. This screen allows the user to index the complete image or to create a custom indexing profile. With a custom indexing profile, you can include or exclude file types and folder locations within the image. We will select to index everything. click Next. On the screen you can enter a name for the source and set the time zone. Click Next. The item screen provides a selectable list of items that can be indexed. The default selections are the most commonly used settings. Selecting Index Windows Registry and Extract Text Fragments will increase the processing time. More information on these settings can be found in the user manual. Note that the notable registry artifacts that are shown in the Insight tab will be extracted even if the setting for Index Windows Registry is not checked during indexing. Click Next to continue. In the Options window, the user can set the Cache Original Evidence Files setting. This setting adds the evidence files into the case file. This will take more time to process and the case will be larger. The benefit is that you don't need to worry about the evidence files when exporting data or moving a case to another computer system because the evidence is included in the case files. The Analyze Paragraph setting allows for MD5 hashing at paragraph level. This facilitates searching for copies of that paragraph and other items and making paragraphs hidden from view when they have been seen or read. There are two geolocation settings for determining the sender's location from the sender's IP address within emails. The first setting is to enable the functionality by selecting this checkbox. The second setting is what we covered earlier in regards to setting up the GeoIP database. You will see that the database is set up on the system by the green tick. Click Next to continue. This is the Indexing Tasks window. This allows the user to set the custodian for each data source and to set post-processing tasks. Post-processing tasks are useful for when the user wants to add automation to the indexing process. Tasks such as keyword searching, date range filtering, and other facet filtering can be set up to run directly after the indexing process is complete. We will set up a basic task to search for a keyword and to tag the results. Click on New. Type in the name for the task. Select Keyword Search and type the search term in Step 1. Select Deduplicate Results in Step 2. In Step 3, select Tag Items and type the name for the tag. Once done, click on OK to save the task. You will be able to see your task and it should be enabled. Click Next to continue. We are now ready to index our data source. Click on the Finish button to start the indexing process. When the indexing process is complete, you can see which data types are in your case. You can also see that the task which I created earlier has been completed. Now that we have our data source indexed, let's look at the Intella interface. At the top left we see the menu bar. This menu allows the user to configure Intella's preferences, add data sources to a case and perform other tasks as we have seen. We will take a closer look at some of the other options in another video. That said, there are some settings under the Display and Locale tab which you should configure before continuing. Click on the Display and Locale tab and make sure that the date and page formats are correct for your location. The search panel is the place where the user enters a word or phrase to be searched. I'll search for the term look. Note that search terms are case insensitive. For example, if I run another search for the word look with a capital L, I will get the same results. The question mark shown at the top right of the search panel opens the Keyword Search Quick Reference. The quick reference provides information regarding the syntax for the various types of searches Intella can perform. Moving to the right, the results pane shows a graphical representation of the results of your search in what we call the cluster map. We can see that we have some hits for the search which I just ran. Also shown in the results pane are the cluster map controls and the search totals box. The cluster map controls change the display of your search results, while the search totals box shows the number of items or results in each search. Below the results pane is the details pane. The details pane shows the metadata for each of the items respondent to the search query. A large number of metadata columns can be shown or hidden depending on the user's preferences by using the Toggle Table Columns button. Facets represent specific item properties. Every facet organizes the items into groups depending on a specific item property. The properties are shown in the facet value pane. For example, if I click on the type facet, I can see the values for this facet in the facet value pane below. Here I can see all of the different file types which are present in the data set. I won't explain all of the facets in this video, however, I will mention a few important facets. The Features facet has a category for exception items. This is where Intella shows items that could not be processed properly. It is important to be aware that items in this facet may not be respondent to keyword searches. There is also a category in the Features facet for encrypted items. Some of these encrypted items may have been decrypted and are searchable. If an item is still encrypted, then it won't be searchable in the case. The Tags facet shows tags which have been created in the case. We can see that the automated task which was run during the indexing process has tagged the respondent items. The Location facet shows the data sources that have been indexed into the case. The Date facet allows the user to filter the dataset by a date range. If we run another search for the word C, we can see that the cluster map changes and now shows 3 clusters. The center cluster or intersection will contain the search results for both search terms look and see. If we run one more search, we can see that the cluster map now shows 7 clusters. Again, the center cluster or intersection of the 3 search terms will contain the search result for look, see and find. The clusters make it easy to see the relationship between the search criteria. When a cluster is selected, the details table is populated with the items in that cluster. More than one cluster can be selected by holding down the Control key and left-clicking on other clusters. Facets can be used to further refine the search results. For example, if I want to see only the document types which contain all 3 search criteria, I can search the documents category in the type facet. You can see that the cluster map gets a bit complicated when more search criteria is introduced. This is because Intella is linking the relationships between all of the search criteria. Intella has a function where you can run an include search. Using an include search on the documents facet will make the cluster map easier to understand. If I remove my last search for document types by clicking the red X, and this time I run an include search on the document facet, Intella will only show the document items which are related to our 3 search criteria. You can see that we only have 7 items that have the 3 keyword search criteria and are also of document type. An exclude search can be used in the same way to remove a specific type from a set of search results. Once the cluster has been selected, the items will be shown in the details table. An item can be opened by right-clicking on the item and selecting Preview from the list of options, or by double-clicking on the item in the details table. When this is done, the preview window is launched and the item, including the metadata for that item, are shown in a number of tabs. The Contents tab shows the text which has been extracted from the item. You can also see hit highlighting for the keyword searches which were run. You can navigate these hit highlights by using these buttons at the bottom of the preview window. If the Analyze Paragraph option was selected during the indexing process, the preview window will show controls on the left of the text where the paragraphs can be expanded or collapsed. Processing the paragraphs allows the user to indicate which paragraphs have been seen. This can be done by right-clicking on the text and selecting Mark as Seen. This turns the text light grey. The paragraph can be hidden entirely by selecting the Hide Seen Paragraph setting. Other paragraphs in the dataset that are identical will be treated the same. This allows the user to skip over text that has already been read. Paragraphs can also be excluded from searches by selecting the Exclude this paragraph from keyword search option. This is useful for when you receive false positives from searching. For example, when searching for a word over a case, but the word appears in a common area such as an email signature block. The signature block can be excluded so that the word can be located elsewhere in the dataset. The Preview tab shows the item with its formatting intact. This is similar to a native representation of the original item. Again, we can see hit highlighting from searches in this view. The Properties tab shows information such as the creator and who made changes to the item, the created and modified dates, and other useful information. The Preview window has a number of review controls to assist the user with their review. The button bar at the top allows the user to export, print, and open items in their native application. The Next and Previous buttons allow the user to navigate to the next document or go back to the previous document. The item can be tagged or bookmarked by clicking on the tag item and entering a name for the tag. Once a tag has been created, the tag becomes a quick tag button, which the user can use to speed up the tagging process for other items. The item can be redacted by clicking on the Redact button. When this is done, a new tab named Redaction is shown. In this tab, the user can redact the search terms which have been hit highlighted throughout the entire document. The user can also add additional search terms to the list and can search and redact this search criteria in the document. Manual redactions can be made by clicking on the Add Redaction button and dragging the mouse over the area to be redacted. There are several other useful controls which can be used during review. These will be covered in another video. Intella can export in several different formats. The most common export formats are original format, which exports to native format. PDF allows for separate or combined PDF formatted documents. PST-mail file, which can be opened in Outlook. And load file formats such as relativity, concordance, summation, ringtail, or CSV. Some export formats allow the user to include additional metadata with each document which is exported. To export items in PDF format, first select the items that you want to export, then right-click and select Export Highlighted Results. Select the PDF option and path to where you want to save the exported items. You can export to individual items or to a single PDF. The file naming and numbering screen allows the user to set customized file names or numbers. The PDF rendering options allow the user to export additional metadata with the exported item. Items can be stamped with the file name or metadata in the header or footer areas of the document. The user can select that a redacted version be exported when redactions have been made. A report can be produced on export. Lastly, a summary of the settings for the export is shown. This screen allows the user to save the export settings as a template so that they can be used for future exports. Once the export is complete, the exported items will be located in the destination folder which was selected during the export wizard. This video has shown the basics of creating a case, adding a data source to the case, running some searches, using filters and exporting results from the searches. More knowledge of Intella can be gained from our cost-effective training. Our training classes provide more detail on the functions shown in this video as well as other functionality included in Intella. See our website for more information regarding training. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. More videos can be viewed at the link shown.